But there are men happy to watch you run yourself ragged, work a full-time job, cook every meal. That's crazy. They view.
Be very careful with a man who sees a woman suffering as strength, because he may expect you to prove yours exactly the same way.
There are men raised by single mothers who had to cook, clean, work, and pay every bill who still say, I want a wife just like my mom.
When you're dating someone, pay attention to the life that his mom had, because that's very likely going to be the life that he's going to give you.
If a guy tells you that his mother struggled, like she worked a full-time job and she did everything around the house, and then he says something crazy like, I really admire that in a woman, he's gonna expect you to struggle so that you can wait on him hand and foot. Like, if a man saw his mother struggle, a normal response to that is, I want to make sure my wife never struggles like that. But there are men happy to watch you run yourself ragged, work a full-time job, cook every meal. That's crazy. They view you as their servant. Marriage is about taking care of each other. You want each other to enjoy life. Men who glorify the struggle of a woman who never got time to herself, never did anything that made her happy, was just constantly living in survival mode. If a guy wants that for you and he thinks that's normal and that's a good woman, run for the hills. That is a man that wants to be pampered like a princess. Date and marry the man that wants to see you rest, that wants to see you thrive and enjoy life as a wife, as a mother, as your individual self. Beware of men that don't care if a woman struggles.
Some men grow up watching their mothers sacrifice everything for the family and later expect the same from their partners. But a wife or girlfriend is not a replacement for a mother. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, shared responsibility, and appreciating each person for who they are, not comparing them to someone else. So guys, that's what we're going to be looking at in this video. Some men believe that playing the role of their mother in your relationship makes you to be a good woman. They want you to struggle to have the same burden that their mother carried during their mother relationship with their father. So when you are not doing that particular thing that their mother did during her time, they sees you as not being a wife material. Anyways, without talking too much, guys, let's dive in.
When you're dating someone, pay attention to the life that his mom had, because that's very likely going to be the life that he's going to give you. If his parents did 50-50, it's very unlikely for him to be a provider, because it's programmed in his brain that men and women both have to contribute equally financially to the household. Or if his mom worked 3 jobs and raised him and his siblings single-handedly while his dad was absent or did very little, you want to be really careful with that. Because one day when you get pregnant and you're so tired, you've got morning sickness, you want to quit your job and stay at home, he'd be like, well, my mom worked full-time when she was pregnant with us and she raised us single-handedly, so why can't you? The final thing is, pay very close attention to the way how his mom treats you. Does she treat you like her own daughter? Does she treat you with respect? Or does she see you as a competition to compete for her son's affection and attention? If it's the latter, that's very unfortunate, but girl, run for the hills. This is very serious. You don't want to get involved with a man like this, because once you marry him, your mother-in-law would never go away and she's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. It's miserable.
I've realised that a lot of the men that I've dated in the past did think that I was going to be like their mum, and that's why it didn't work. Because I'm not going to sit here and be a housewife to you, because I want to go out and I actually want to have fun and I want to enjoy my life. And I feel like you need to be careful with the type of men that you date. And very early on, you need to set that boundary that I am not your mum. I feel like that's why the black dating scene is struggling so much, because a lot of black men are seeing their women, their mums being either really amazing, strong, single mums that don't need help, they're hyper independent. So they're looking at you like, why wouldn't you go 50-50? My mum would pay for the whole bill. Or they're watching their mums be cheated on left, right and centre and not leaving. So they're looking at you like, why are you not dealing with this? This is what I know a woman to be like. And I feel like that is where the disconnect is coming from. A lot of you guys think we're your mums. I'm not your mum. No, I'm not your mum. I'm going to go out to brunch with my friends. You can cook for yourself. No, I'm not your mum. You're going to look after the kids this weekend. Whether or not you know how to make Weetabix, you're going to find out. I'm not your mum. No, I am going to go on holiday with my friends and do whatever I want and come back whenever I want, because I'm an adult, because I'm not your mum. I feel like a lot of people need to stop dating thinking of their mum. And I know it's psychology, but as women, we have a responsibility to let people know I'm not your mum. So if your dad didn't let your mum out, that's got nothing to do with me. Because I'm not your mum. Okay? I'm not your mama. Find somebody else.
Men who carry wounds, like childhood wounds, from their mother do not know how to treat women when they become adults, especially if they are going unhealed. And this happens to most people because a lot of the time when things happen to us when we're a kid, we're still kids. So it's like you don't really process it. But then when you get to your adulthood, you'll kind of realize like, damn, I'm kind of fucked up right now. Now, the type of wounds that I'm talking about is either men who just didn't have their moms in their life at all, men who were abandoned by their moms at some point in their life, or men that dealt with a traumatic experience from their mom at some point in their life. If you fall in love with a man that has any of those types of things going on from their past, you're going to then learn that one, he's not going to know how to treat you right, and two, the role that you play in his life is going to be completely different. It's not going to be the role of a wife or a girlfriend. You're damn near going to become this man's mom. And to each his own. I'm just letting y'all know, if you fall for someone like this or you fall in love with someone like this, you have to understand that the type of relationship that you're going to enter or you're going to deal with is not going to be the ideal relationship that you probably have in your head. There really is nothing like a mother's love, and like a mom's love is so important, like so important. Like the daddies are important too, but there's just something about a mother's love, that unconditional love. If a man does not have that, he's not gonna know how to love anybody. He's gonna treat every woman like shit, and he's not gonna even be able to understand why he's doing the things that he's doing, but he's just gonna be that way. Love who you love, right? But you have to understand that the family history of each person that you are deciding to be with is so important. And it doesn't matter if you have a vibe, you attract to somebody, you have to ask yourself, is this a burden that I'm willing to carry for the rest of my life? If you know that answer is no, then you have no business dealing with a man that has mommy issues.
Before you make that decision to be with that man, please, my darling, look carefully into the kind of family he comes from. This is very serious. Don't get carried away with all those love words. Don't get carried away with rubbish. You have to open your eyes. You have to look carefully into the kind of family he comes from, especially a family where the mother suffered in her own marriage. Because if the mother suffered in her own marriage, that will be the standard when you finally end up with that man. He will expect you to suffer like his mother. I am telling you for a fact. If the mother had a lot of neglect with her own husband, whoever you're with, your partner is going to be her emotional support while you're just there. If the mother went through a lot of domestic violence and she stayed to hold the family together, to still support her children, probably she stayed because of her children, that man has learned that every single woman that comes into his life has to suffer like his mother. So don't think you're going to be an exception. He will expect you to suffer exactly the way his mother suffered, because to him, that's normal. To him, he has been taught that a woman should bear pain, because to him, pain feels normal. Pain should be normal to women generally. So if his mother suffered to keep the family together, expects to suffer just like his mother. That's the standard that has been set for him. And there is nothing, my darling, there is nothing you can do to change that. So before you jump into that relationship or that marriage, the family dynamics is very important. Okay? Look before you leap. All right? Love you. Bye.
There are men raised by single mothers who had to cook, clean, work, and pay every bill who still say, I want a wife just like my mom. As a divorce lawyer, I see wives burnt out, broke, and filing for divorce because of that thinking every single day. Because instead of saying, I don't want my wife to suffer the way my mom did, they romanticize a woman doing everything. One of the benefits of a good marriage is that life gets easier, not harder. Bills are shared, labor is shared, stress is shared. That is the dividend. And when a man expects his wife to carry everything the way his mother did, that benefit disappears. A lot of men didn't grow up with a mother. They grew up with a superhero. A woman who held the entire household on her back while pretending it was light. A woman who worked 2 jobs and still showed up to school events. A woman who put herself last so everyone could eat first. She didn't do that because she wanted to. She did it because she had no choice. But instead of learning from her struggle, some men turn it into a relationship blueprint. They think they need a wife who can do it all because that's what love looked like in their childhood. They mistake sacrifice for normalcy. They mistake exhaustion for devotion. They mistake survival for a standard. I see this in marriage after marriage. A man expects his wife to be the chef, the maid, the nanny, the assistant, the emotional support system, and the bill payer. And when she she starts drowning, he wonders why she changed. She didn't change. She is just tired. She is living the life his mother lived, except without the generational guilt that kept his mother quiet. Men love to say, I want a woman like my mom. But here is what they should be saying. I want to be the partner my mom never had. Because if your mom was working herself to death, why would you want your wife to repeat that story? If your mom was exhausted, why would you hand your wife the same burden? If your mom deserved help she never received, why wouldn't you give your wife what your father didn't give your mother? I tell clients that the strongest marriages are built by people who break generational patterns, not repeat them. A wife is not supposed to be your mother's replacement. She is supposed to be your partner. Honor your mother, respect her, cherish her, but do not recreate her suffering in a new household. The goal is not to find a woman who can do everything. The goal is to become the man who doesn't make her feel like she has to.
I've come to realize, man, a lot of Muslim men, they want their wives to love them like, a soft mother, while treating her like the servant that their mom became. And I say this with love and compassion and respect, right? Honestly. But it is the fucking truth. And essentially the woman, she feels it. There's this deep unspoken weight, right? Which is, smile and serve and don't complain. Don't take up space. Be just this perfect daughter-in-law, because that's essentially what the mother-in-law she had to be. Just be this healer. Take all the punches. Have sabr. But the truth of the matter is that none of this is actual like a healthy marriage, right? None of this is healthy relationships in that sense. It's not healthy behavior. I'm not saying healthy relationship, but it's not healthy behavior. It's more emotional labor than anything, right? It's emotional labor. And it's perhaps dressed up in different ways. Perhaps it's Islamically dressed up. Perhaps it's traditionally dressed up. Perhaps it's culturally dressed up. But it is essentially that. It's emotional labor. It's emotional dumping. It's unprocessed and unhealed trauma. And the truth of the matter is not just damaging your heart. It's doing something even worse. It's fucking up your nervous system. It's really destroying your nervous system. And one might think, well, no, a nervous system. Look, healing a nervous system is really, really difficult. Do you understand? Like, it takes a lot of process. It takes the whole process of healing your nervous system is really, really like, it's such a long process. So you just think, you know what? I'm just going to allow this forever and ever and ever. Well, best of luck.
Let me tell you what men mean when they say they want a woman like their mom. When men say they want a woman like their mother, what they really mean is, I want a woman who can survive pressure. Many of them didn't grow up seeing partnership. They watched endurance. So whenever a man makes reference to his mom, it is your duty to remind him that you are nothing like his mom. Those women worked, cleaned, provided, nurtured, and somehow managed to keep it all together. Not because they want to, but because there was no support. And instead of these men asking, how can I make sure my wife never have to live like this? They turn that struggle into the standard. They confuse love with self-sacrifice, confuse strength with burnout, confuse survival with marriage. But no, a healthy marriage is not about who can endure the most. It's about equal load, shared responsibilities, equal rest. So if your mom did everything, it doesn't need to be copied. She needs support. So instead of saying, I want a woman like my mom, say, I want to be the partner my mom never had. So ladies, take note. Any man glorifying the struggles of his mom, but refuses to question his father's absence, is not a man you want to build a life with. I'll see you again.
Stay away from men with a mother wound. Men with a mother wound are they are so destructive and so dangerous to women and young girls, and we need to be teaching girls how to recognize wounded men, specifically men that are wounded in the area of their mother. This is men that watch their mom struggle triumphantly. This is men who grew up with an emotionally neglectful or unavailable mom, and this is also men who grew up witnessing abuse, either emotional or physical, to their mom. These are wounded men, and they need help, professional help. The problem is the mother wound almost always occurs over the eyes to the soul. So they're blind. They don't even know that this injury or this damage even exists. And if they do acknowledge it, they think, oh, it's not that bad. What happens is you can't marry a man and heal the mother wound. You can't have his babies and be a good mother to his children and heal the mother wound. In fact, the mother wound is so dangerous that it will try to infect you and turn you into the same kind of woman that damaged him. Y'all be careful out here and stay away from these men with these mother wounds because they need to heal.
Be very careful with a man who sees a woman suffering as strength, because he may expect you to prove yours exactly the same way. When a man starts to glorify his mother's suffering, my sister, be extremely careful. Pay attention, because he may have been conditioned to see endurance as what love is. And if that man does not do the inner self-work, he may approach his own relationships exactly the way he saw his father treat his mother. Some families will even reinforce it. So his sisters, his cousins, his aunties, they will all expect you to suffer and endure exactly the same way they saw his mother or their auntie suffer. And if you're the kind of woman that does not want to conform, they will start to judge you.
Men, please understand that we are not our mothers. We are not going to stand by you blindly while you mistreat us, use us, abuse us, and neglect us. Because what I'm realizing through reading the comments on a lot of my posts is that a lot of men are very aware of the negative way in which they treat women, because they saw their fathers do the exact same things to their mothers. However, where the problem comes in is they saw their mothers stay and literally ride or die. They saw their mothers live the most emotionally and sometimes physically unhappy life and still devote themselves to their husband and their children. Baby, we're not doing that shit! Respectfully, let me go back to being respectful, we are not doing that. And men need to adjust or get left behind. I know you love the days that men could blindly claim to be the superior sex. I know you do. I know you love that men could do what they want when they wanted and women wouldn't leave. Because they couldn't. Women didn't have financial freedom. Women didn't have certain rights. So women were not necessarily stuck to their husband, but their life would take a significant decline if they left. But unfortunately, for so many of you men, you were born in the wrong generation. It's 2024, baby. It's 2024. And in this day and age, if you are not giving women the love, the respect, and the reciprocity they deserve and require, a lot of us are leaving. Now, this does not apply to the Dundee women, because in reality, there's a lot of women that have really ridiculous expectations who are not playing their position as a partner in a relationship and are not doing what they're supposed to do. However, there are a lot of women who are doing this, and men seem to have some entitlement, well, I get where it comes from, centuries of being superior, that women should stay through the madness. The answer is no, it's not happening. Because women can do bad all by themselves. There's not a thing a man can do that a woman cannot do. And when I say things like this, men will be like, okay, come and fix the plumbing. First of all, baby, you can't even fix the plumbing. Let's start there. So the same way you're going to pay someone to do it, I'm going to pay someone to do it. So we're still looking each other in the eye. But also, we don't need to deny that men will be better at certain things than a woman, just as women will be better at certain things than men. That's clear. So yes, a man might be stronger. It doesn't mean a woman can't still carry it. It doesn't mean a woman can't still do it. There are generations of families that have been raised by a one-woman single mother, and she has had to do everything by herself. Baby, that is called precedence. Ask the court. They accept that as proof. I'm not saying that women are better than men or that men are better than women. What I'm saying is we're all people and we're all equal and we are all valuable and we all have something to add. And the days of men being superior are behind us. I'm so sorry to tell you that you have to face your reality. You are not superior as a man to a woman just because you have something between your legs. Sorry. And I love that women are starting to take back their power and understand, no, I'm capable. I'm more than capable. I don't have to deal with this just because other generations dealt with this. Men love to say, oh, back in the day when marriage was good, when women had no freedom, when women had no access to finances, when women would be disowned, cast out of society for being a divorcee. That back in the day. Back in the days where there were laws where you couldn't beat your wife until after a certain time because they didn't care about women's well-being. They just didn't want to disturb the neighbours. And the thing is, there are a lot of sons who are carrying on this narrative and hailing their mum as some kind of superwoman. And I'm not saying your mum was not a superwoman. What I'm saying is your mum put up with things that nobody should be expected to put up with. And you think because she did that, it's a comparison to show that we're bad women because we're not willing to do that. If you think that's bad, you better sit me next to the devil because ain't no way. Ladies, as much as, I tell you to hold yourself accountable and behave a certain way, is because I want you to find the men that are actually for you, that see you as people and that respect you and your input. Stop running after these scraggly men who see you as inferior to them for no reason apart from they have a third leg. They don't earn as much as you. They haven't achieved as much as you. They're not as educated as you, but they have got you on the fact that you don't have a man, so somehow you're inferior. No, baby, you never was. It never gave inferior. And then men say, be single then, as if the people who suffer more from singleness is not men. I need men to understand women are actually fine when they're single. The only negative that happens to a woman when she's single is that people say, oh, you're single, you can't get a man.
Men die early. Men are more likely to have illnesses. Men are more likely to be in debt. Men are more likely to be in prison. All of these things are risks to men because they're not married. So the threat is for men, not for women. So let's reassess that. And I'm not even saying that anyone has to be in a relationship. Every gender, do what works for you. What I am saying is, we are not our mothers. If you want us to love you, commit to you, respect you, you are going to love us, commit to us, respect us. Otherwise, we are leaving. Now, like I always say, there's always an exception to the rule. For best results, assume it's not you. Mwah.
If a man tells you that he wants a strong and independent woman like his mum, then you need to run. And the reason why is he's going to put you through the same thing that his mother went through. And I actually learned about this from a friend because me and him was going back and forth years ago. And I was telling him that I want to be able to take care of my woman. And he disagreed with that because he said, well, he admires the fact that his mother, who was a single mother growing up, raising the children, she went through a lot of stress and struggle, and she needed to be very strong in order to raise them. And of course, he admires his mother. So when he's looking at a woman, he admires a woman more if she's able to go through that same stress that his mother went through. But the only thing is, you'll never be able to be fully relaxed and soft and feminine with the type of man who's okay seeing you go through stress and struggle because he believes that's a strength.
9 times out of 10, when a man say, I want a woman like my mama, or why can't these women be like my mama? His mama was a single mother. And then he will continue to say, well, my mama used to come home from work, cook, clean. She used to have to take care of this, take care of that. She ain't have no choice. That's the point. She didn't have a choice. These women have a choice not to choose that. And like, if a man grew up in a 2-parent household, or if he grew up with a good dad, he would say, I want to be like my dad. I want to have a nice foundation for my family. Instead of saying, I want a woman like my mama. He's seen this woman be a nurturer, be a provider, be masculine. He's seen his mama be things that she wasn't supposed to be because his daddy wasn't in his life. So now he's going around looking for those things in a woman. He wants the woman to be his mother. And like, they don't have to do that. That's perfectly fine.
So it baffles me how African men still glorify suffering, especially women suffering, their mother suffering. They glorify it so much. And that is why they always want the woman that they marry to be like their mothers, because, you know, their mothers suffered, their mothers struggled, their mothers endured. So why shouldn't modern women, you know, suffer? And that's why on Mother's Day, they are not just appreciating their mothers, they are also celebrating the mother struggle, because to them, suffering means strength, pain means love, struggle means loyalty. Do you get? And it's actually very, very dangerous. So I have a question for these traditional men, for these men in particular. Like, I have a question for you guys. If your mother always put herself first, if your mother wasn't a sufferhead, if your mother said no to things that she did not want, if your mother did not sacrifice her dreams for you guys, if she lived life to the fullest, if she put herself first, if she was selfish a bit, would you still respect her? Would you still call her your superwoman? Or do you respect her because she was a sufferhead? Think about it.
Go and marry your mother's age mate. Yeah, go and marry her age mate. You got a wife and you're expecting her to be exactly like your mother. You're expecting her to act like your mother's age mates. Like, are you even with your brain at all? Every little thing you're like, this is not how my mother used to be. They used to do in their own time. They always this, they always that. Like, you're comparing your wife to your mother. You're comparing your wife to the time that your mother got married. Like, is she your mother age mate? Are they mates in any way? Is like let me tell you, this life is not revolving only around you. No. The only thing constant in this life is change. It's change. You don't go marry somebody and you expect her to be like your mother or act the same way your mother used to act when she got married. No. If you really want her to be Like, if you really want a wife to act like your mother or act like the time they got married, then go and marry her age mate, so that the person will be acting that same pattern of life they used to live. Like, they should be acting that way. Yeah, go and marry her age mate. Marry someone of that age. Every little thing, you are like, my mother, they don't used to talk to their husband like this. They don't used to. If you want to marry a deaf and dumb person, go and marry that person. If you want somebody that won't say her own opinion, you don't want her to contribute to what is going on in the family, then go and marry a deaf and dumb person. That you have to be the only person contributing in everything that is saying, making choice, making decisions in everything that is happening. What is even your problem, Seth? What is your problem?
A male narcissist is not looking for love and equal partnership. They are looking for a pick-me that is like their mother, a woman that will throw herself into a situation to be useful, for a man. And she subconsciously did not know that she trained this man to only look at women for the things that they can service him with, versus actually appreciating, a woman, or appreciating who she is, appreciating her essence, appreciating her femininity, appreciate how nurturing she is. Instead, they take the things that you do for them and they exploit them for their own personal gain. That's why male narcissists love women that have low self-esteem, because as long as they can give her just a little bit, just like he doesn't really have to give his mother very much, she gonna do whatever for him because that's her son, right? She gonna ride for him till the wheels fall off. He's looking for somebody that is going to replicate the relationship that he has with her, just somebody that he can just hump on. So with that being said, a male narcissist, that's why it feels very one-sided when you're in a relationship with them. They can give you little bitty breadcrumbs, just enough to keep you in the relationship, but not enough to sustain the relationship, because they do not know how to love women based off of giving them emotional support, emotional reciprocity. They have no idea how to handle like a partner as a woman. A male narcissist shows love through acts of service and action, and that's the way that he loved his mother. Whenever his mom says do this, do that, he's able to do those things, right? But she never taught him how to be emotionally responsible for another person, because he never had to be emotionally responsible for her. She's okay with him as long as he's doing the task that she wants him to do. Most likely the narcissistic mother, she might not be married, and if she is married and has a man, her man ain't shit, and she depends on her son to do specific things for her. What she's subconsciously doing is teaching her son how to perform love, not to actually feel it, not to actually be present in these certain moments. When he's doing certain things, he feels like, okay, well, if I do this, I get approval, I get love, I get validation. I'm a good son if I do everything she says and everything that she asks of me to do. So he replicates this in his relationships, and he feels like, well, if I give this, if I give that, then, that means that I'm a good boyfriend, or I'm a good husband, I'm a good person. In all actuality, it doesn't mean any of those things. This is why narcissists can perform love so well, because they are not trained or taught to have real emotional connections with people. Having to sit and really be in a room and be present and be emotionally there with a woman is foreign to them. They expect you to forgive them for the disrespect. They expect you to forgive them for piss poor behavior. They expect you to really be their mom, because their mom is going to forgive them every single time that they do something that is wrong, and they feel like your love should be unconditional like hers, all while their love is very conditional towards you. If you notice, the mother is also a guilt tripper and a manipulator, and she knows exactly what to say and what to do to make her son fall into her orbit, to be at her beck and call for her needs at all times.
So this topic is what we have to discuss more about, because many men are very manipulative in this aspect. You will see some men trying to make the lady that they are with to understand that they measure the strength of a woman, like the character of a woman, by what she can endure in that relationship. You see them trying to compare their lady, their mother, indirectly saying that their mother endure BS from their father. You see some of them saying that their father cheated on their mother never left, their mother experienced all sort of things from their father, like their mother struggled to take care of them even when their father was still in the same roof with their mother. Like their mother did everything, their mother never left, she stood and took care of her. You see them celebrating their mother. I'm not saying that you should not appreciate your mother, but what I'm trying to say that, but you trying to let us know that your mother, you value your mother, or your mother's strength is determined by her not living or tolerating all those BS. So you are indirectly letting the lady know that you measure her value by what she can tolerate or what she can accept in that relationship. So indirectly you are letting her know that if she does not have those kind of qualities, that you will not see her as a wife material. So I kind of think that ladies, we should try to understand now. Like, don't let any man manipulate you into thinking that you have to endure, you have to accept what their mother accepted, what their mother tolerated in that relationship, in order to prove that you are a wife material, like you are a good woman, you are a nice woman. No, the generation has already passed. Now we are now a new generation. So you don't have to accept what your mother accepted or what your mother tolerated, let alone what your partner's mother tolerated in her relationship, just to prove that you are a good woman. Don't let anybody manipulate you into thinking that or accepting that BS. So guys, what do you think about this topic? Because I know that a lot of men are doing this. Yes, it's very, very common in this generation. Anyway guys, what do you think about this topic? Drop your opinion at the comment section. Do you agree with some of all these points that this lady gave? Even some men also dropped the points. You can see it's very obvious that even men, some men understand that their fellow gender does this kind of thing, and it's not right, it's not proper. For me, I feel they are kind of manipulating the lady into thinking or making her to do such, to tolerate such, in order to prove her worth, like to prove that she is a wife material. So guys, drop your opinion in the comment section. Let me leave you guys here till I come your way again next time. Remain blessed and bye.